Feeling the fury of Floyd, the still massive and very dangerous storm targets the Carolina coast as winds, waves, and rain pound much of the southeast. One of, if not the biggest evacuations in American history is still underway. Nearly 3 million people warned to flee. There's more to come. The hurricane is ready to rip straight up to Maine, and aftermath in the Bahamas, scene of Floyd's first strike.
This is the CBS Evening News, with Dan Rather reporting tonight from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Good evening from ghostly and deserted Myrtle Beach. What's happening here at the moment is the heart of the great storm is beginning to come ashore. What you see and hear all around in this place are the first faint edges, the storm bands preceding the landfall later this evening of the hurricane's eye. We want our CBS News coverage to be both experiential and informational for you, the viewer. That's why we're at this place, because the core of the storm will be coming ashore later tonight, somewhere between here, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Wilmington, North Carolina, perhaps the eye just north and east of Wilmington. The eye of the hurricane represents a massive storm. Everybody knows how dangerous it is, and that's why the whole area has been evacuated. With surf up and wind rising, the latest evacuations from here in the Carolinas were large and orderly, leaving eerie, deserted scenes of lives interrupted.
I think it's going to be pretty bad. I think we'll probably see some right good devastation down here.
All told, almost 3 million Atlantic Coast residents took to higher ground for Floyd in one of the largest peacetime evacuations in U.S. history. This evening, the hurricane's eye is still offshore. The hurricane is still intense and immense, still capable of major damage. Locations to the east and north of the eye will suffer the worst conditions. Landfall is expected later tonight, right near here, possibly around high tide, worsening the storm's surge or tidal wave danger. Tornado spin-offs are possible in the eastern Carolinas. Hurricane and tropical storm warnings now stretch up the Atlantic coast from northern Florida to Sandy Hook, New Jersey. A tropical storm watch extends to the northern tip of Massachusetts. While southern Florida was spared the worst, it was bad enough to topple a 100-foot chunk of the pier at Daytona Beach. At sea, a rescue helicopter from the aircraft carrier USS Kennedy went out and retrieved 8 people who abandoned a sinking tugboat. Earlier, the northern Bahamas took the most direct and hardest hit from the hurricane. Boats ripped adrift by blasting surf and rains, whipped by full hurricane winds over 155 miles an hour. The hurricane's projected path of wind, sea surges, and drenching rain, 6 to 12 inches worth of rain, even as the storm weakens, will generate misery up the eastern seaboard into the weekend. Virginia Beach and Delaware tomorrow, then on to New York City and Long Island, all the way to New England by Friday night. We take you now to CBS News correspondents Randall Pinkston and Bob Orr covering the worsening weather here in the Carolinas. First to Bob Orr by the Cape Fear River in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Dan, the hurricane-force winds are expected to begin blowing here in the next couple of hours, with the worst, we're told, sometime after midnight. The rain has been steady, at times torrential. More than 9 inches have fallen since last night. As you might imagine, some of the low-lying areas are already starting to flood. And all through the Wilmington area, there is a collective dread that the people here are about to experience something they have not seen before. As the waves began to chew away at the barrier island of Wrightsville Beach, even stubborn veterans of storms past moved out.
Yeah, this is supposed to be awful.
Peter Booth, who has ridden out every hurricane here for more than 2 decades, won't tangle with Floyd.
It's too dangerous. You know, we can survive if we're away from it, but if we stay here, you know, it's very questionable.
We'll be evacuating the beach by 7 o'clock tonight.
Firemen went door to door in coastal neighborhoods warning people to get out. Most didn't have to be told.
My gut feeling it's going to hit Wilmington. This is Hurricane Alley, and we get them all, and we're going to get this one too.
And you're running.
I'm getting out of here.
And some here have no plans to return. Lisa Musacchia packed up what she could carry and snapped a last picture of her home. For her, Floyd is one storm too many.
Definitely selling it if it stands.
definitely. I mean, it's got me that way.
We are already getting reports at this hour of problems in Wrightsville Beach, about 10 miles from here. Heavy wind gusts. We're also told the power is out and the water will be cut off shortly. However, the experts say the worst is clearly yet to come. Of course, they're also watching Floyd farther to the south in Charleston, South Carolina. That's where my CBS correspondent Randall Pinkston is.
Bob, Hurricane Floyd is greeting South Carolina with stinging rain, wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour, and power outages here already affecting 100,000 people, and this is just the beginning. Charleston is battened down, confronting wind and rain that could cause major damage. While Hurricane Floyd is weaker here than expected, it's intense enough to send more people fleeing the area today.
We got about 95% of the people have already left.
Main roads out of town were clear, in contrast to yesterday when an estimated 300,000 people choked highways after the governor ordered an evacuation. Many who didn't leave Charleston did go to emergency shelters. Evelina Richardson normally sits out hurricanes, but not this one.
I'm getting old now, and I decided that I better leave and don't worry about what's in my house.
As wind gusts topped 60 miles an hour, Stacia Browder walked her dog. She didn't evacuate 10 years ago when Hugo struck and decided to see Floyd, too.
Listened to the news this morning. It looked like it wasn't going to be a direct hit here, so we thought we'll just stay and ride it out.
Nigel Bowers is also riding it out. After getting his family out of town, he's been stacking furniture.
Well, I guess the water would have to get really high to reach the tabletop, huh?
It would have to get high. It would have to probably be about 4 feet higher than it was during Hugo's.
Bowers plans to spend the night watching the storm from behind his shutters. And the hope is that when Floyd finishes with South Carolina sometime tomorrow morning, the damage here will be less than it was when the big one hit 10 years ago, Hurricane Hugo. Dan?
Thanks. Randall Pinkston with Bob Orr. One of the day's important developments was this. Hurricane Floyd became a faster-moving hurricane, much faster. A few minutes ago, I talked to our CBS meteorologist, Brian Norcross, at our Hurricane Center in Miami about what to expect now. Brian, first question, when and where is the heart of the hurricane expected to hit?
It's going to hit tonight, Dan. We now have radar coverage of the hurricane from the Wilmington radar. We see the eye moving to the north. We also see it making a little bit of a bend to the right, which we do think now will take it closer to Wilmington than to Myrtle Beach or Charleston. On our satellite picture, clearly a good bend toward the North Carolina coast, incredibly in the same direction that so many hurricanes have gone over the last few years. And that's going to bring the eye very, very close to the Wilmington area, maybe just east of Wilmington in the overnight hours tonight. After that, the storm moves north, and by Friday, it's on up into the New York City to Boston area. Saturday, it's on passing Maine and on out to sea. But the entire East Coast gets an effect from this hurricane over the next couple days.
A reminder of just how massive it is. Now, there'll be wind and rain over a large area. What sections are likely to be worst hit?
Well, you have to kind of divide it, Dan. At the coast, we're going to have the storm surge come in the 10, maybe 15-foot range, depending on the coast. And that's that massive ocean water going over the coast. And, of course, the 115, 120-mile-an-hour winds. When you get inland, we're expecting significant rainfall. And the deciduous trees don't deal well with heavy rain and high wind. So that takes down trees and that knocks out power. So you have a different significant effect at the coast and inland. Those inland areas just can't deal with even minimal hurricane force winds.
Brian Norcross, thanks. Underscoring an important point. Even more than the wind and rain with hurricanes, and perhaps especially with this hurricane, is the threat of the sea surge, the wind-driven ocean water. Here's what we expect. If the hurricane remains on its now expected course and at its current strength, the area where it makes landfall will be struck by a storm surge of anywhere from 10 to 15 feet, and it will push inward until it hits land of substantial and higher elevation. On top of that wall of water will be waves several feet high that will pulverize the shoreline and structures alike. Experts say that the sea surge could extend northward along the coast for 15 to 75 miles in considerable strength, as the hurricane's winds plow water up and onto the fragile beaches and ahead of it. The delicate outer banks would be hit by a more modest storm surge of a few feet, as would areas around Chesapeake Bay and Delaware. what would then be called officially tropical storm conditions would continue up the Jersey shore, with pounding waves leading to what will likely be more coastal floodwaters and erosion along the beaches far to the north, where the eye comes in. Keep in mind that the storm surge will be even more dangerous if, as expected, it comes in with high tide. Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News. We'll go back and look at what Floyd has already done, a direct hit on the Bahamas, and a glancing but destructive blow at some parts of Florida. And we'll check the progress of another, would you believe it, another powerful storm building out at sea.
Problem?
The doctor says my cholesterol's still too high.
What about diet and exercise?
They didn't do enough.
So?
He suggested adding Lipitor.
Lipitor, the #1 prescribed medication for lowering cholesterol. In clinical studies, Lipitor with diet was proven to lower bad cholesterol 39 to 60%, total cholesterol 29 to 45%, triglycerides 19 to 37%.
He said over 4 million people have started taking Lipitor to lower their cholesterol.
Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant.
There'll be blood tests to check for liver problems.
Tell your doctor about muscle pain or weakness, as these may be signs of serious side effects.
You take Lipitor once a day.
Ask your doctor or pharmacist for more information on Lipitor and call 1-888-LIPITOR.
Well?
Lipitor did it. My cholesterol's way down.
Lipitor, the lower numbers you're looking for.
Allergies knocking you flat? Try non-drowsy Allegra. Only Allegra has fexofenadine. For people 12 and over, ask your doctor or pharmacist for more information. Side effects are low and may include drowsiness, cold or flu, nausea, or menstrual pain. Allegra, so you can enjoy the world around you.
On its way here to the coast of the Carolinas, Hurricane Floyd battered some parts of the Bahamas, east of Florida. That may be what you're going to see and hear. Gives you an idea of what parts of the U.S. mainland are about to feel. Correspondent Jim Axelrod was in the Bahamas today. Give us an idea of what may be in store for us.
200 miles off the coast of the United States are the footprints of a monster. Take a look at the Bahamas, bruised, battered, and busted up. Footprints Floyd doesn't tiptoe.
Buildings are down, roofs blown off, trees down, boats that were anchored are in the street.
This is Great Abaco Island, the third biggest in the Bahamas and what may well be the hardest hit. This time yesterday, the eye of Floyd was right overhead, hammering Abaco, say the locals, like it's never been hammered before.
Not since 1965 with Hurricane Betsy. The other storms were like Sunday school kids to this one.
The 13,000 people who live and vacation here are shut off and isolated. For now, no power and no phones.
I just want to let my mom know, Kathy and John Lafitte, that everybody's okay where we are, and I've been trying to get in touch with her just to let her know that.
Tonight, an entire coast of the U.S. desperately wants to know what Floyd will do. Sometimes the best way to foresee the future is to peer into the most recent past.
I'd say get out of Dodge. You've just got to get away from those coastal communities, leave your homes, and go run for cover. That's the best I can tell you. It's going to be catastrophic.
A warning from one part of the Bahamas tonight where Floyd left no home and no life untouched. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Great Abaco Island.
Up and down Florida's east coast, Hurricane Floyd has brought torrential rains, howling winds, and a lot of anxiety. But as CBS News correspondent Byron Pitts tells us, the Florida coast mostly dodged the worst of the storm.
From Cocoa Beach to Jacksonville and cities in between, Floyd may have simply kissed the coast of Florida, but the memories will linger for a lifetime. Overnight, this 600-mile-wide beast of biblical proportions slid past like a lamb. Sustained winds topped out at 70 miles per hour. No one died, no one was seriously injured. Nearly 250,000 people did lose electricity, and most of the 40,000 who spent the night at shelters lost a little sleep. That old bed at the house never looked so sweet.
Looks pretty good, no leaks. Good to be home.
But gratitude quickly turned to grumbling. 1.2 million people were told to evacuate, and most of them met again today on the highway headed home.
And I think we're not worth a damn. And there's got to be a better system than that. It's too many people and it's not organized, see?
If they overdo it with the evacuations too much, then they'll be like crying wolf, you know?
You said evacuate this community. People moved. Yes, they did.
Brevard County Emergency Operations Director Bob Lay says he has no reason to apologize. Floyd was too big, the stakes too high.
But for a storm the size of this, no. This is someone's life at stake.
State officials say they'll likely know the cost of Hurricane Floyd by this time tomorrow. For many residents here in Florida, the cost was credibility. Dan?
Byron Pitts. Rain and wind picking up as we broadcast here along the Carolina coast. Riding piggyback right behind Hurricane Floyd is another hurricane, Gert. Gert has now been upgraded to a very strong Category 4 hurricane. More powerful at the moment, but smaller than Floyd just now. Gert's about 700 miles east of the Leeward Islands, but is expected to veer north away from land. I'll be back later in the broadcast with more on Hurricane Floyd. But now for some of the rest of today's news, Bob Schieffer in New York. Bob?
Thank you very much, Dan. Just ahead, success and failure in Kosovo. The U.S. military is taking a sobering look back at the air war.
Tylenol House Call. Information for healthy living.
Watching Wayne Gretzky, you'd never know the great one could have common arthritis.
When my doctor told me that my aches and pains could be the early signs of arthritis, I was really surprised.
It's not unusual. Millions of Americans under 50 have arthritis. Millions more are at risk. What should you look for? Risk factors include an active occupation, past injury, family history, age, and weight. Early signs of common arthritis include joint pain and stiffness.
Well, what do you do for your arthritis pain?
I take Tylenol.
The first choice of doctors for arthritis pain is the medicine and Tylenol Arthritis Extended Relief. Tylenol works as well as the leading arthritis prescription, but it's much gentler on your stomach. So, Wayne, how does it feel to be retired?
Pretty good. These days, it's fun to be knocked around.
Could your pain and stiffness be the early signs of common arthritis? Talk to your doctor, like Wayne Gretzky did.
Tylenol House Call is brought to you by Tylenol Arthritis.
Ask your doctor about Viagra.
My dentures always fit fine. I never thought of them as a problem until I saw the video of my son's wedding. It was then that I decided to try Fixodent.
Because Fixodent adjusts to the unique contours of your dentures and gums, forming a thin, powerful seal for a better hold than you ever thought possible.
It was like a whole new feeling, so snug and secure. For once, I actually forgot that I even wore dentures. So now, I like what I see.
Find out for yourself what it feels like to Fixodent and forget it.
The U.S. Air Force today handed out medals for heroism during the NATO air war over Kosovo. But it is beginning to look like the campaign may have succeeded in spite of itself. We have more on that now from CBS News national security correspondent David Martin.
3 pilots who flew into the teeth of Serb air defenses were decorated today in a ceremony which unintentionally underscored one of the biggest failures of the 78-day air war. Despite flying 38,000 combat missions, despite hitting every radar dish and communications site it could find, NATO never succeeded in knocking out the Serb air defenses. That, according to an after-action report done by Admiral James Ellis, one of NATO's top commanders. As a result, NATO planes delayed going after Serb forces in the field, the ones doing the killing in Kosovo, and when they finally did, they stayed above 15,000 feet for fear of being shot down. At that altitude, pilots had a hard time seeing targets through the clouds. Strikes against fielded forces were at first nearly ineffective, according to one senior commander. It took the carrier Roosevelt 14 combat sorties to hit one target. The pilots improved their tactics, and by the end of the war only needed 2 sorties for each target hit. According to Admiral Ellis, NATO was absolutely wrong in thinking a few days of bombing would convince Slobodan Milosevic to pull his troops out of Kosovo. As a result, the air campaign was so poorly planned that it took nearly 2 months to hit targets that could have been attacked within the first 24 hours of the war. Of course, the air war did in the end succeed. Milosevic withdrew his troops, and NATO did not lose a single pilot to enemy fire. But Admiral Ellis says NATO was lucky, and you can't count on luck to win wars. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The United Nations Security Council today authorized an international peacekeeping force to move into East Timor. Australian troops supported by the United States and other nations were making final preparations today. They could move in as early as the weekend. The UN mandate authorizes them to use deadly force, but reports say the pro-Indonesian militias who've been terrorizing the people are now getting out of East Timor. And coming up next, a near disaster for a plane load of tourists in Europe.
Fortunately, there's Nasonex nasal spray, an effective nasal allergy prescription medicine taken once a day to relieve nasal allergy symptoms, indoors and out. Now that's wonderful. The most common side effects were headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing.
While Johnny Kim was getting ready for the first customers of the day, someone else was looking at larger space for his growing business. At 3 o'clock, while the Curtis family was watching their daughter's soccer game, someone else was walking a prospective tenant through one of their apartment buildings. And while Carmen Delabar was preparing for a fashion show, someone else met with an appraiser about her investment property. You've got a life. We let you live it. We're realtors. Real estate is our life.
We're gonna change your mind about coloring your gray with the natural look of Just for Men.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men. With Just for Men.
Just for Men penetrates hair deep inside where natural color begins. Simply apply, and in 5 minutes, rinse. Gray is gone, matched up to the rest of your hair.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men.
Welcome to My Mailboxes, etc. You know, this may look like a regular mailbox, but let me tell you the secret. You get a street address, not just a P.O. box number. That means we can sign for your FedEx shipment and other packages. You get an entire support staff. Where else are you going to be able to call and check your mail? I mean, come on, who's going to do that for you? We'll also forward that mail anywhere in the world. Mailboxes, etc. We're making business easier. We're making life easier. Can your mailbox do that?
The House of Representatives has voted to close the loopholes that allow special interests to make unlimited big campaign donations, so-called soft money. With polls now showing public support for campaign finance reform, that will put pressure on Republican leaders in Congress to stop bottling up the legislation in the Senate. On the CBS Market Watch, consumer prices were up 0.3% in August, mostly due to higher costs for food and energy. Excluding food and energy, the so-called core rate of inflation was just 0.1%. Stock prices were down across the board today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 108 points, and NASDAQ also fell sharply by 54 points. There was a close call today for a plane load of British vacationers flying into Spain. It was raining heavily when the Britannia Airways Boeing 757 skidded off the runway and broke into 3 parts. But none of the 236 passengers was seriously hurt. Dan will be back in just a moment with the latest on the hurricane.
Have you seen the latest? One-a-day joint health with glucosamine, a unique blend designed to help you maintain flexibility. It's from One-A-Day, and just what you need to feel your best.
Thank you, Aleve. For years, I often had a hard time walking, even had knee surgery. I tried all kinds of pain relievers. Finally, a doctor suggested Aleve. Just 2 worked all day. Soon I could dance all night again.
Aleve, all day strong, all day long.
Ask your doctor about Viagra.
Why do people love squirrels but hate rats? They're both rodents, and yet the squirrel is tolerated, downright beloved. Why? Does that cute fuzzy tail make that much of a difference? Absolutely. Introducing the all-new 2000 Mitsubishi Eclipse. Nicely equipped at 17.7. Further proof that looks do matter.
50 is courageous, confident, beautiful. 50 is being who you are. To make sure being who you are stays beautiful, there's Pro Vital for skin that looks revitalized, resilient, remarkable. Just like you. Pro Vital from Olay. Proven to be why women over 50 look so wonderful.
Updating tonight's and tomorrow's top story here in the evacuated areas of the coasts of the Carolinas. Intense and immense Hurricane Floyd is beginning to come ashore. Landfall of its eye expected during the night in an area roughly from Myrtle Beach to just north and east of Wilmington, North Carolina. Strong winds up to a foot of rain and other conditions will prevail over a wide area of the upper east coast of the USA. On the eve of the great hurricane, we found a family outside Savannah, Georgia that you'd want to meet during a storm. They represent the best in us, and sometimes the best means just being willing, ready, and able to pump gas. Last night, as Floyd gathered south of Savannah, Ollie Williams was pumping fuel for one more customer.
Can I have your hood checked?
Sometimes disasters seem to hit the poor hardest.
It's chaos.
Many of Ollie Williams' neighbors struggle to evacuate the city by bus.
I have no idea what the plan was, but it's not working.
The plan at the Shell station owned by Ollie and his mother, Irma Williams, was simple. Brave the storm and serve their customers.
I want to be sure that they have gas. They are the priorities now in my life.
That's what we're here for. That's part of business, not just to make money, but to be there when your neighbor, your customer needs you.
Everyone in West Savannah knows in a tight spot the Williams family can be counted on.
Everybody know the Williams. They appreciate the service, and it's pretty much just part of our family, actually.
Business has been good since Ollie's mother and father opened it 41 years ago. It's paid for family educations. But one night, Irma and her husband were confronted by three robbers.
They pulled a gun on my mom to rob her. When he walked up behind them, they turned the gun on him and shot him in the back.
He was murdered here one hot, sweltering summer evening.
So the Williams family had a special reason for opening up the station again this morning.
It's like the foundation for our whole family. So it's special.
Special people. As the storm comes in, Dan Rather reporting from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Good night.
Powerful Hurricane Floyd. How severe will the damage be, and when will residents be able to go home? Experience CBS News.
Coming up on News Channel 5 at 6, Hurricane Floyd is about to hit land and is developing into one of the worst storms